Joe's supposed to come pick this up Monday, and I thought I would do some things that kind of help get us on our way, make sure we get everything done. He doesn't get to stay long, if you know what I mean. I guess I need to put the balancer on. I'm going to adjust the valves and put in the new push rods. But I always oil the snout in an effort to make it easy to take this thing off for the next guy. And then I oil the inside of the balancer also and just try to make it easier to slide on. I'll need those tick marks to adjust the valves. And then I put a little oil on the install tool because you'll be turning on it pretty hard. That ought to be tight enough. I have a couple of bolts and a crowbar that I put in the back and that locks the flywheel so I can torque that to 135 because you can't get it the other way. Of course, the Mopar crate motors, crate Hemis, came with a wedge-looking balancer, which I can get over that. That's fine and everything. But did they really come with that for a harmonic balancer bolt? I mean, that just looks so improper to me. I mean, we know what a wedge balancer bolt looks like in a Hemi, but I don't know. It just looks funky, and it's not 1 1/4 inches, so every time you get underneath the car, you'll forget that this is not 1 1/4 inches, and I don't know. I don't like it, but I guess I'll just have to live with it. Look at that. It looks a little short, doesn't it? I mean, it's as long as the wedge, but that's only 1/2 inch of threads. I realize on a bolt this big, it'll handle it, but I don't know. I'll oil it up and put it in. This Indy Valley tray, kind of dirty. What a shame. It lacked a 1/2 inch or 1 inch or something going in to the ultrasonic. That would have been great. I guess I'll have to spray it with some aluminum cleaner and brush it down or something. Maybe that'll look a little better. I'm just laying it up here to keep me from dropping something in there. Okay, now we're going to put in the new push rods and set the lash on the valves. The cam cards, we've got this at top dead center, and we know that number 1 is firing. It said top dead center, number 1 firing is where we start. And we've got it on top dead center, and we know it's firing because we've got lash on number 1, and number 6 is in overlap. So the cam card says 20 thousandths valve lash, hot, and we're cold. So we're going to do -8 because we've got aluminum heads and aluminum stands. So we'll go with -8. We'll be setting everything on 12 thousandths. We're doing the number 2 intake and the number 8 exhaust. This is a whole lot easier swapping push rods on a Hemi than a wedge. we're going for 12 thousandths. That's too tight. Of course, you really don't have to get this dead on, because all this is to start it and warm it up for the cam brake in, and so you can set the valve lash. It looks pretty good. We're looking pretty close here. And that feels pretty good. And we're doing the number 8 exhaust. That feels pretty good. We're good there. So now rotate 90 degrees, number 1 intake, number 4 exhaust. I'm not going to make you sit here through all of this, but that's what's next. I'm down to the last 2 valves, but I think we should talk. Forever, the 426 Hemi was and I've got more than half a dozen sets of push rods back there, and they're all the same. They're all 3/8 ball on the bottom, 5/16 adjuster on the top. But somewhere along the line, you can't buy Hemi lifters anymore. There's no such thing as Hemi lifters. I know they tell you they'll fit a Hemi. Those aren't Hemi lifters. They'd be 3/8 ball. There's no such thing. So all you can do is buy wedge lifters, and the wedge is 5/16 ball in the top of a lifter. So I take the old push rods out of here, and I hope you can see this. These push rods, this looks like a 3/8 ball to me. I mean, you can judge for yourself, but this looks like a 3/8 ball. Notice how this is 5/16 fixed in the cup, fine. But if you try to stick this into this, that doesn't fit so well. It appears to me that these push rods must be the original ones. Maybe these came with 3/8. You know, this motor may have been, Mopar may have had Hemi lifters. But when they changed the cam, that's a 5/32 cup. I hope you can actually see all this. See, that's a 5/16, 5/32 radius. But and then that's what that looks like if you tried to put a 3/8 in there. Which would explain why you don't see any wear in the bottom of it. I don't think anything ever touched the bottom of it. Look how it's shiny right there on the corner where the push rod was hitting. Can you see that shine? So I guess that's what's going on here. This is a 3/8 ball push rod on a 5/16 cup. But that's the way it is now. You can't, if you called somebody and ordered 426 Hemi push rods, and if they made them like the originals, it'd be 3/8 ball, and you wouldn't be able to buy any lifters anywhere. But before I put these last two push rods in, I'm on the last cylinders. I thought I ought to show you that now. I think we touched on this in one of the last videos or something, but if you've got these heads that take the O-rings down in the plug tube well down there in the bottom, you have to have some of these. You know, you'll damage your plug tubes trying to pull them out without these. I think this is a valve seal tool remover from Goodson. But this is the only way I know, good way to get these plug tubes out. Imagine trying to take a valve cover off with 4 of those holding it in there. It's kind of a nightmare. Wow, these plugs are gapped at 28. I think surely they need more than that. I think I need to go look up something and get a better number than that. And then I'll torque them down. Ma Mopar used to say 25 foot-pounds on aluminum heads, but then she went to 20, so I'll torque them down to 20. The owner sent some studs to install for the intake manifold, which I think is a better way to do it. The first set they sent were a ½ an inch shorter. They weren't going to work, but these are going to work fine. And there's a throttle bracket to go underneath over here, and that's going to take a little more space here. So these will work fine. So I got them installed, and I've got I don't think there's anything else I can do because I can't put the water pump on because the engine cradle that we're going to be hauling it on bolts to this. When Joe gets here Monday, we're going to put the intake manifold on. I've never even installed one of these type of valley plates. I don't like them. I like the regular intake manifold. This is an Indy thing. It doesn't work for me, but Joe knows how to handle this. And we've got a large gap here we're going to have to seal up with some silicone. That's going to be a little challenging. But everything looks good. The intake's fitting well. I had to use a thinner gasket than what they sent because it was like 125 thick, 1/8 of an inch thick. But these fit real well. I don't see any bigger gap here than here. So I think this is fitting real good. So we'll soon have it running.